All right, so in today's video, we're going to take a look at Block or Square or Cube, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take a look and see how it's behaving, performing, and is it time to kind of sell or dump. Right now, when we look at the stock and just looking at overall with the news behind Square, we still call it Square, does Block Ultimate Goal make the stock streaming buy right now? So one of the things is that Tidal, by the way, is kind of like a music service with Spotify. So if you look at Tidal, Block owns 87.5% of the Tidal on its investors, yada, yada, yada. And basically with Tidal, looking through Reddit, the music service is, I guess, it's just a better quality in terms of ears and listening. For me, it doesn't really matter since I listen to more of those 90s musics, and I think the difference is minimal for me. But that is up to you to decide. So in either case, it's cutting some of the staff for it. Usually when staff is cut, when people get fired, this is good news for the company, for the shares. Why is that good news for the company and shares? Well, because now they usually can make a little bit more of a profit. Now, with that being said, that also means that could slow down some of the growth over time. But anyways, it does temporarily solve a certain problem. So that can push the stock a little bit higher. And this is what we've done, is we've pushed that stock higher. However, now when you look at this uprising on that share price, well, we went from 40 to a 70. And if we look back at the 70, you've got a nice sweet spot kind of right there that's coming right into resistance. Imagine that. You're coming right into resistance on that 70 line or that 70 price point. So that stock hit it and actually got into it. Let's go into a 65-minute chart. Just want to show you here. The high here was 70.67. High here was 70.25. High here was 70.26. So you got a little above it, and now you're starting to reject it, and volume actually is coming in. So I would be mindful of this, that now we're breaking through. You also have the Fed announcement today, so we're going to see how that goes. So if you look at the economic calendar, boom, FOMC 2 p.m. And then the press conference 2:30. So they're going to yap about a whole bunch of stuff, yada, yada, yada. You know, just a lot of fluff discussion. And then we'll see how that market reacts. So, you know, point being is news, but how does the market react? That's the bigger question. How does it behave to what is said? Because what happens is there's a lot of people that make long-term, much longer-term decisions based on Fed interest rates and so on. And the same thing here is then when we look at the stocks, as far as, let's say, on the weekly basis, we're coming in, there's some resistance there. And even then, when we start looking at it, this could be in a declining area right there. Now, I think we did get oversold in this spot, and overall that stock's down quite a bit. So you could break through here, and that could be very nice. And the stock has been performing well. So on a short-term basis, it's done quite well. It's been fantastic. And even now, when we look at the daily, it's looking pretty good. And a normal pullback, let's say we go back to the 130-minute. Even if we pull back just halfway from here to here, and then we pull back halfway to a 50, I'm thinking that could be worst case scenario for the next year. I don't think it would get that bad or nasty. Market's been doing well. It's been good. The Fed interest rate has been, you know, tamed. The inflation thing is tamed, or people are adjusting to it, even though prices are much higher than before when, you know, I was growing up buying a home. Completely different than now. I mean, you're paying 3-4 times more. Let's just say income 100,000 went to, let's call it 120,000. On average or so, you know, again, depending on which middle class you're talking about. But house prices, let's say, went from about, was it 200,000? You know, I'm just talking about when I was growing up, from 200,000 to now same house is like 800,000 if I look back in the same city. And that was more in the Bradenton area, if you want to look it up. So, back in Florida. So very different, you know, kind of a situation when you start looking at just kind of where prices are at. So anyway, so we're kind of up here inflated, and I think we could get a pullback, you know, somewhere 59, 60 could be a nice support level. And even then, this is just a first day. You don't know if this is just, boom, a lot of selling pressure. Take a look there. The one thing that concerns me here is, you know, it could be a start of something. So you've got a lot of volume there that's coming in, comparing it to the other previous days. So that volume right there is quite high and huge, picking up on the sell side. So normally what happens is you get a big sell off here, you'll get a pop, and then you could get a follow through. So my point here is it's not to say that, hey, all things are doomed in this stock. What I'm saying is it could be the start of a general pullback simply because the stock has ran up pretty quick, and a normal pullback could get you to $60. And that's when you can start nibbling again, because now we're starting to trend higher. Okay, and things are looking green, moving average wise. The trend, this is to me, tells me the trend is powering higher because we've been trending lower. Now we're starting to trend higher again. And with the trend going back into the upper end, we're starting to trend higher. Buying on the dips usually will work. Similar to how, let's just talk about this trend over here. As you're starting to trend higher, you're coming back on the dip, you're buying on the dip, coming back on the dip, you're buying on the dip, coming back on the dip, buying on the dip, eventually till the trend starts to move lower. And you can take a look at any trend where you're kind of doing this on the upside. So let's say here we're trending to the upside, and these green dots, by the way, means the moving average is moving higher and the trend is moving higher. It's really just a moving average that also I've color-coded by code to tell you, hey, we're actually moving up with the moving average, whereas here the moving average is moving down. So as we're moving to the upside here, okay, we're pulling back. Trend is still moving up, so we're pulling back. So these are spots you would usually add up until the trend actually starts to reverse course. So anyway, overall, the stock looks good and healthy. I'm just saying, I think we could get a temporary, short term, maybe a couple days, maybe a week or two at most, pullback. We'll see how the Fed thing, what kind of reaction we'll get from that. Support probably around 60. You also got some support right here with this level, because you got a little bit of a gap in that area right around that 52 zone. And then of course 50, 48 right here with this gap up that happened. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think anything major is going to happen. I think probably still you might hit 60. That could be more the panic area, meaning, hey, we come back to 60. That could be a nibbling and buying opportunity, seeing how it comes back. So if you get a pullback, probably just going to last short term, nothing too major in my opinion. But temporarily right now, it is starting to look weak. The big problem is if you start picking up speed, if you start picking up steam, more selling pressure, also if the market turns negative, that could be a big area of concern. Looking at things like Boeing, I mean, some of these things are accelerated and are due for just a couple of red days at least to digest and consolidate. And that's usually normal and healthy. If you don't get that, then you can get a very nasty drop and big problem. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Truly appreciate it. Don't forget to check out our website and grab some of the freebies on there as well. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.